Pleasure to interview you again after the last time we had a conversation. But for the benefit of our viewers, give me a sense of just what your book is about. I tried to not share as much of it in my intro, but I want you in your own words to tell us what your book is about. Such a pleasure to have you on the show again.
Oh, it's lovely to speak to you again, Sam, and thank you for having me. I guess Perfect Daughter is one of those stories that relates to every woman. For some reason, women the world over tend to have to spin plates, don't they? They are carers for the children, they look after their parents, they run the household, and actually the person who comes last of all in that list is the women themselves. And I really wanted to write a book about what it was like to suddenly realise that you maybe had more years behind you than ahead. You know, maybe we've got grey hair and saggy tums, and that's just myself I'm talking about. But actually, you know, that moment when you look in the mirror and you think, what happened to my dreams? You know, I had all these ideas and aspirations, and suddenly I've just become the person that looks after everyone else, and I've kind of forgotten to look after myself.
You deal with something that I consider to be incredibly uncomfortable. Obligation meets expectation. Jax, who's your lead protagonist here, is obligated to look after her mom, to look after that family member. But there was an expectation at the beginning when she married Pete of something completely different, and somehow the two realities haven't completely met.
That's a really good way of voicing it, and I'm going to steal that phrase, actually. Obligation meets expectation. I love it. And that's exactly right. I think, like anyone, when she set out on this wonderful adventure of marriage and motherhood, you know, she kind of thought her life would turn out in one way. And we all have those moments, don't we, where we stand there and think, I wonder what would have happened if I'd chosen that person, if I'd taken that route, if I'd said yes instead of no. And I think she spends her life compensating maybe for the things that aren't working in her life by retreating into that sort of fantasy world. And actually, you know, Pete's a really great guy that she's married. Yeah. She has a perfect family. They're lovely. Her kids are great. The trouble is, it is exactly as you say, it's her expectations that are kind of a bit askew, particularly as she tries to live her life through her daughter, planning her hopes and fears and all her dreams on the things her daughter might achieve.
There's something in your book that I think eventually will become part of our day-to-day conversation. You use the term sandwich mother or sandwich mom. Explain that to me. I think that's going to become a day-to-day phrase we're going to use.
Do you? We're going to use that, sandwich mum. I thought it was great, and essentially what it means is someone who's almost trapped in a sandwich between looking after their children and also caring for their parents. And certainly in the UK and the world over, it's something we're doing more and more through economic necessity or just situation or lack of space. We're finding that people are really finding, you know, instead of just being able to concentrate on looking after one or the other, you're trying to get your children off hand so you can maybe have a little bit more life for yourself, and maybe money might be a bit more available, but suddenly you're then looking after your parents. And so it feels a bit like you're on a treadmill, a hamster wheel. Even if you do it with the best will in the world and you love these people more than anyone else, it's still very, very hard. It's a huge ask for one person to do.
I think you found the balance perfectly between Jax is a very complex lead protagonist. Then there's Pete, the almost perfect in many ways. Martha, who's the perfect daughter, or well, Jax sees her as such. Jonty, who brings in the humour. But here's the thing I want to ask. Jax sees Martha as the perfect daughter. Is Jax the perfect daughter?
That's a really good question. And I would say that actually she does the best job she can. And it's a situation that I've researched. I spoke to a lot of women who said that maybe they didn't have the most perfect relationship with their mother, but then as soon as their mother got sick or infirmed or ill, they found themselves caring for this woman that maybe they didn't feel as close to as they wanted to. And the guilt that went with that, Sam, is absolutely enormous. And actually, the book looks at what it's like on a fundamental level to be caring for someone in a physical way every day, which is very, very difficult. You know, it's no fun having to shower your mother. It's no fun having to make sure she's, you know, fed and watered. It's a real role reversal. Yeah. And if there isn't a huge amount of love as the glue, or respect as the glue, it makes that job even harder. And I guess the problem is Jax always thought she had time to fix her relationship with her mum. She always thought, you know what, I will find a time when we can spend time together and we can chat and we can have that perfect relationship. But of course, that's not how life works out. She's running out of time, they both are. And I think having to adjust and deal with that is really hard for her.
You somehow find that balance between, and maybe I should ask this question. You had a mother's story that came out earlier this year, and now you've got Perfect Daughter. Where are you operating on? Because most people don't release 2 books in 1 year. Where are you? Are you sleeping? Are you spending time with family and friends? Or are you in a cave somewhere?
I don't sleep. Yeah, I don't sleep. I don't clean my house. I don't cook for the kids. I know I'm essentially the worst housekeeper and mother you've ever met, but I write a lot of books. So, yeah, I'm doing 2 or 3 a year, Sam, and it's my absolute passion, obsession. I write every day. I write all day, so I love it.
You found this balance between portraying a dysfunctional family and as opposed to just a normal family with day-to-day issues. And I think you somehow found that perfect way, because it could have gone the one way where you see this dysfunctional family trying to work out their day-to-day lives, but this is a normal family with day-to-day issues, and I think that's why it resonates with absolutely everybody.
Yeah, I think so, because I think every family, certainly every family I've come across, is slightly dysfunctional, or maybe I'm just talking about my own. But, you know, we have issues, we have challenges, we worry about the kids. You know, those worries don't stop, do they? They just change as those children get older. And so I hope I've represented every family. And I was worried when I wrote the book that it was very UK-centric. But interestingly for me, I've had letters from people in Norway, people in South Africa, people in America, India, saying, this was my relationship with my mum. This was exactly how I felt about letting my daughter fly. All those things. So I think it really does resonate. And that's what I try to do, Sam. I try to write books that are relatable to every woman. Because I think, actually, we are all exactly the same. You know, we may be wrapped up differently, but we all have the same hopes, aspirations and fears for our kids. And I think it's just tapping into that.
Amanda Prowse, always a pleasure talking to you from our Cape Town studios,
thank
author,
you, Sam.
storyteller. Amanda Prowse with her latest offering called The Perfect Daughter. It follows hot on the heels of A Mother's Story, which was released earlier this year. But if you read the reviews, this is one of the books you have to buy for your holiday season. Take it on holiday.